registered in Barbados is an example.
While he was in government as a Liberal cabinet minister, a treaty was negotiated that exempts that shipping company from paying taxes. No self-respecting country in the world would do that.
While the government claims it takes offshore tax evasion seriously, Francis is skeptical.
Why does Canada not have the political will?
Because the offshore and taxation lobby is the most powerful in this country.
Just how powerful a lobby became clear in 2006. That year, a former employee of a European bank released a list that showed 106 Canadians hid $100 million in Liechtenstein, with a tax debt owing of $22 million. 2 years later, Senator Percy Down discovered only $8 million in taxable income has been returned to Canada.
But the intriguing part for me is not one person has been charged.
Not one person?
Not one person. And I'm not familiar with a world where somebody pays back $8 million, but no offense has been committed and no charges have been laid.
According to Down, Canada has a dismal record of getting offshore tax cheats. Instead of tracking down money offshore, he says the government goes after the low-hanging fruit.
It's much easier to go after average Canadians who have their banking here, who try to not pay their fair share of taxes, than it is to go after very rich Canadians who have accountants and other professionals to help them not only move the money offshore, but defend them when questioned.
And now there are even fewer tax officials to track down offshore funds. Over the past year, 3,000 Canada Revenue Agency employees were let go. The agency's budget is also being slashed by almost $260 million in the next few years.
You have written in the past, though, that it is a relatively toothless organization when it comes to getting offshore money.
Well, it's toothless because the government won't give them the mandate.
In Greece, roiled by political turmoil in recent years, tax evasion is at the heart of the economic crisis. By 2010, the country had accumulated a $1.2 trillion debt, while at the same time, tax evasion was running rampant. In fact, Greeks only pay an estimated 1/3 of tax they actually owe, with an estimated $74 billion not being collected, including billions hidden in offshore tax havens. Euclid Sakalotos is a Greek economist and opposition member of parliament.
We now reckon that there were about 15,000 to 20,000 offshore accounts in Greece, and the government recently said that it had investigated something like 60 of those.
When the economic crisis hit in 2009, the Greek government imposed austerity measures and began selling state assets. Cuts so deep, they led to riots.
The austerity programs have had devastating effects on Greek society. It's not just people who are unemployed, it's not just people who haven't got any access to income, it's people now who've lost their job and are uninsured, so they haven't got access to medical facilities.
Despite upheaval over massive cuts and austerity measures, the government refusal to chase after offshore tax evaders remains steadfast, according to one of Greece's most famous journalists.
Αφού δεν συγκεντρώνονται φόροι και το κράτος καταρρέει, πρέπει να συγκεντρωθούν φόροι. Αυτό που συμβαίνει όμως στην Ελλάδα αυτή τη στιγμή είναι ακριβώς το αντίθετο.
Kostas Vaxivenis is editor of Hot Dog, an investigative magazine he runs from this small house in a suburb of Athens. Last year, Vaxivenis was dramatically arrested by Greek police.
Με συνέλαβε μια ομάδα από 50 αστυνομικούς μετά από παρακολούθηση του τηλεφώνου μου, σαν να ήμουν ο μεγαλύτερος εγκληματίας.
His crime? Vaxivenis published a list of more than 2,000 Greeks who had hidden money offshore in Switzerland. Many powerful and prominent members of Greece's political and business elite were on the list.
Ένας πρώην δικαστικός και τώρα γενικός γραμματέας του Υπουργείου Δημόσιας Τάξης είναι στη λίστα.
It turns out Greek government officials already had the list 2 years before Vaxivenis published it, given to them by members of the French government. But they had buried it, and the names. Instead of pursuing the tax evaders for millions in unpaid tax owed, the government took Vaxivenis to court for publishing the list. It lost the case against him last year, but immediately laid new charges, and he goes on trial this fall.
Νομίζω ότι αν πρέπει να μιλήσουμε για κλέφτες ή για αυτούς που φοροδιαφεύγουν, πρέπει πρώτα να βάλουμε το πολιτικό σύστημα μέσα.
Today, Greece is in its sixth year of recession, with its economy due to contract by nearly 4%.
Unemployment is now at 27%. That comes up to sort of 1.7 million people. There is no sign that that's being reduced. The number of children in households below the poverty line is approaching 30 to 35%.
Despite its crushing debt, the Greek government has done little, according to Sakaletos, to collect money from tax havens.
Even the IMF, who does not usually bat for the poor people, has consistently said that they don't trust the Greek governments to do something about tax evasion and tax avoidance.
Unrest and riots in Greece might seem a long way off in Canada, but it could serve as a cautionary tale.
What does it all really mean at the end of the day?
It means Canada is missing billions of dollars that we should have in our economy. It means that the government lacks the resources to do what they should be doing. It means that the rest of us have to pay more taxes.